Hey folks, Marcus here from the Ashton Fly Shop. We're back at the vise. It has been way too long, so we're here. We're going to tie some summer steelhead flies. I've got two of my favorites today, and we're going to start with Anderson's Euphoria, which I think I'd say in the last like 2 seasons for us has become one of the most productive and one of our favorite summer steelhead flies on the Rogue. It would fish super well on the Klamath. Different color variations, you can fish it anywhere for steelhead. It's just a really cool, simple fly to tie, but really effective. So we're gonna get going on it. And we're gonna start with an Alec Jackson steelhead iron, size 5 in black, which will be the most versatile size and color of hook too. And before I pop it in there, I'm actually gonna debarb it in my vise there. This pattern has spun some pretty cool variations. There's the little muddled Euphoria from Aquaflies, which is the same fly just with a teeny little muddler head on it, which is super cool. And then Bruce Berry did the Euphoric Muddler, which is basically just the same Euphoria with a full muddler head on it. And this muddler is probably one of my favorite commercial muddlers that we have available to us. Actually, not probably. It is my favorite commercial muddler pattern that we have available to us. And the original fly was tied by Rick Anderson down in California, and it's proved to be productive in a lot of places down there and up here. So I started the thread a ways back from the eye because on traditionals I like to keep a little bit more room around the eye, because when you do a turtle knot on a traditional, you actually want to leave a little bit of room for your leader to grab there. So I'll come back to where the thread is just at the point of the hook, and then I'm going to tie in some flash, which is the ice blue Flashaboo. And I'll just grab one strand of it because I'm just gonna wrap a little bit of tinsel on the back here just to give that back of the fly a little bit of glow. And so I'm going to start doing a couple wraps backward, maybe 4 wraps backward, and then come back and get that same amount. And when I do these tinsel wraps, as you see, I went back behind where my thread starts. I like to do that instead of wrapping the thread over the area where the tinsel starts. And you can, for today, I'm just going to leave that tinsel bare like that. But a couple ways to keep it more secure on the shank of the hook would be to put just a little bit of UV glue over the tinsel and then cure it so that you have a nice hard glue surface, or even just a dot of super glue underneath it will help it bind to the shank, because left undone like this, which I'll just do for presentation purposes, but left undone like that with no glue, no nothing on top of it, it will be prone, if the fish bites the fly from the back end, it'll be prone to rip that little bit of tinsel out of there. So I'm gonna come in, man, look what I got going on here. It's not good. But I'm just gonna cut it like that and worry about that later. This is fine wire in gold from Danville, and I'm gonna lay it kind of through the body so that I don't create any buildup as I tie it in back here. But this is just gonna be some ribbing through the body. And for the body on this, you could totally dub it normally, but I'm so used to doing dubbing loops in other steelhead flies that I'm just gonna put this dubbing in a loop for this fly. And there's a lot of different color combos of the Euphoria. The one I'm going to do today is just the brown, which this pheasant tail ice dub is slightly different than what the commercial fly comes with, but it's really close. And you could use so many different types of dubbing in the body here. There's a green version with kind of a caddis green dubbing that's really cool. Black and blue is a cool combo, black and purple. So I've got that in there. I'm just gonna grab that loop and close it and give it a good spin. And this isn't like a lot of patterns where you really want to pick that dubbing out. You can just start wrapping right in front of that tinsel. And I'm just gonna make clean wraps as I come forward on the shank. And get right up to the return of the eye. And then there's a little bump of pearl dubbing on this fly. For the little bump, I don't mind just dubbing this right onto the thread. So I'm just going to twist my hands around the thread. Kind of tighten it down. That's about all I need. So I'll just capture this excess, clip it off, and then I'll come through with my wire, counter wrap. This just does the same thing that glue would do on that tinsel on the back end. When fish bite the fly, it's just going to make that body more durable over time. Come in, kind of neaten that up a little bit. All right, so I've got a pretty clean body going there. And I am going to tie in the hallmark of this fly. It's got 3 collars on top of it, all stacked on top of each other. And then it's got really long flash hanging behind that length. So for the first collar, which is kind of underneath of everything else, I've got ringneck pheasant, which we sell individually by the rump, which will come in packs kind of like this, just a big clump of these rump feathers. But I'm gonna pull one of these feathers off the back here, kind of medium in length. Just pluck that guy out of there. Pull away all the under fluff. So I'm left with the really thin barbules. I'm going to tie it in at the tip. Make a couple wraps forward. Grab it with my hackle plier. Just getting those wraps nice and consistent on one another. Just hang that stem over the hook as I finish that up right there. Wrap back on it a little bit. And then we're going to have another hackle, which will be slightly longer than that one. And it's going to be wood duck gold mallard. And you got to be a little careful with these because some of these will be really long. And we don't want anything super long on there. Like this one I could already tell would be a little bit long for the pattern. The fibers would hang way past the hook, which isn't quite what we're looking for. tend to find that the longer versions of mallard, when you wrap them around the shank, just the way they splay out around the fly, to me it's just not as pleasing as the shorter stuff. So I'm going to pull most of that feather away and just use some of this stuff up near the tip. And I'll tie that in. Give it a couple wraps. And just make sure, as you're wrapping this feather, just go nice and slow and make sure it's all going in the direction you want. And I capture that stem, tie it off. And I'll tie the flash in here because I want that flash to be a little bit hidden by the last collar on the fly. And there's definitely some wiggle room in how long you want this flash to be. You definitely want it trailing past the bend of the hook. Just like that's about fine. It's going to trail all of the fibers, all the hackle fibers, and just be this dangling flash hanging behind the fly, and that's what you're looking for. So for the very last collar, we'll just have guinea feathers. And I think it's probably a little better to try and select a smaller guinea than a really, really big one for this stuff. Leave the big ones for the intruders and stuff like that, but try and pick a little bit smaller one to finish off this fly. We'll use a bit of it because we like that barring through there. Just going to come back so that it's tied in right on top of that wood duck mallard. Just straighten everything out. Make sure as it lays down that everything is going in the right direction. Just going to catch that material there. So you can see that guinea was a little bit shorter than what you'd find on a store-bought one. So you might want to select a little bit longer guinea than I did. But I still think, you know, on our rivers around here, that combo of guinea, ringneck, and then the wood duck mallard is really going to be fishy. So I'm just going to build a small head, and like I said, I'm going to keep just a little bit of room around that eye. So for folks out there who fish the turtle knot, they'll know that having a little bit of that eye exposed on each side just lets your line, it gives your line a little bit of space around the hook to grab there so that it's not ripping on the head of the fly, which is a good thing. Then to finish this fly off, I'm using the Loon Black clear fly resin. And this stuff, I use this more than anything else now. It really makes a nice, glossy, durable head, as well as anything I've found. And because so many of the flies that I tie up have black heads, just doing that black UV just creates such a nice, clean little bump of a head on there. And that is more or less what we're looking at. It's a very simple fly to tie. Very quick. It's one that if you just wanted to fill a box with flies that really are productive and are not overcomplicated to tie. You don't have to marry a wing to do them, but you can do all sorts of cool stuff. Like I said, you can put a little muddler head on them, or put a full muddler head on them and kind of change the way it appears. But this Anderson's Euphoria is a really awesome, really simple fly that we carry here at the shop. We all fish it and we all love it. So thanks for tuning in.